Welcome to all of you who have signed on already to the Traffic Safety Have the Conversation. We'll just wait a few more moments for those who are getting signed in, and we will start promptly at 11:30. Thank you. Well, hello, I show 11:30. There's still some people joining us, but I'm going to go ahead and get started in lieu of time. My name is Lisa Kahns. I am the Traffic Safety Program Manager here at the Minnesota Safety Council. Welcome. I am also the Network of Employers for Traffic Safety Coordinator, which means I have the pleasure to get as much information into the hands of employers in our state as I can under a grant program from the Office of Traffic Safety. Today, we are going to talk about traffic safety and having that conversation within your workplace. And what does that mean? And we're going to dive into that a little bit and talk about what that means. If I asked for a show of hands, and oh, how I wish I could see all your smiling faces, but we're not privy to that today. I know you're all the safe drivers out there because that's just how it goes. We give ourselves the okay to be the safe one. It's everyone else out there. So we're going to talk about that today, and we're going to talk about tips and techniques on how to keep us safe behind the wheel and how to share the conversation with our employees so they can share it with their friends and their family and their colleagues to keep us safe on the road. Because quite honestly, friends, things are not so safe out there right now, and we are nearing record numbers that we just have not seen in terms of fatalities and in terms of serious injuries for quite some time. So I'll go ahead and share my screen with you, and we will get started. All right. I would ask for a thumbs up, but I think I'll hear from somebody if they say that we can't see your screen, Lisa. So what does this all mean? Well, motor vehicle crashes are the #1 cause of on and off the job injury and unintentional deaths. The #1 cause and the leading cause of injury death in the United States. So I want you to take just a little second and think about that. The #1 cause of on and off the job unintentional death. This is a national statistic that I'm sharing with you right now. Every 5 seconds, a vehicle crash occurs. Every 10 seconds, an injury occurs. and every 12 seconds, someone dies in a motor vehicle crash. Our data in Minnesota, now this is national data, but our data in Minnesota, unfortunately, is changing drastically and quickly. I attended a press event on Monday where they released some figures. I'm going to be showing you those figures today, and since Monday, the data has changed dramatically because that's what's happening on our Minnesota roads. We can do the math with this data that I'm showing you right now, and in the 1 hour or a little less that we're going to spend here today, how many crashes are occurring, how many injuries are occurring, and unfortunately, how many fatalities are occurring on our nation's highway. Those are of epidemic levels. And one of the most dangerous things you will do today is drive. Prior to the pandemic, I used to say one of the most dangerous things your employees will do today is drive. I want for you to think about that for a minute, and I want you to think, well, our employees are working remotely. They might be working from home. Do not belittle the fact they're still driving. They are still driving. They may not be driving to and from work, but our numbers in Minnesota are showing us people are still out on the road. Our vehicle miles driven are much lower than they have been in the past, but our fatality rate and our injury rate are much higher, even though the number of miles are lower. These are our friends, our family, our colleagues, our community members who are injuring and hurting themselves. And that's why we're going to talk about having that traffic safety conversation within the workplace. Did you know speed is an issue without our roads? Did you know that speed counts when you're the passenger, when you're the driver, when you're the pedestrian, when you're the employee? It matters. So what's this? Let's go there. I'm just going to pause a minute. It's Target Field. You've been there, you've seen it, you know what it is. What do you need to get into Target Field? I mean, look, I want you to think about Target Field comfortably sold out. I mean, packed, just packed. And what do you need to get in? A ticket. That's all you need, just a ticket. Here's my ticket. Come on in, Lisa, enjoy the game, have some popcorn, have a soda, enjoy the game. They don't care what color you are, what shape you are, what size you are, how old you are. They do not care. Come on in, enjoy the game. One sold out Target Field. Target Field holds about 39 to 40,000 people. We haven't had a Homer Hanky waving in the crowd at Target Field for quite some time. But think about all those people waving those Homer Hankies. One sold out Target Field is about how many people we kill on our nation's highway every year. And this year it's going to be more than one sold out Target Field. Think about that. And our roads, they don't ask you for a ticket. And you don't get to put the date and time on your calendar. They just reach up and grab you. You don't get to plan for it. Oh, and it was your birthday. Oh, and a holiday and you had your family with you. And it shatters lives. It shatters the culture of a workplace. It's horrific to communities, and you can't backtrack from it. And so we're going to talk about tools and tips and techniques on how to keep you safe within the workplace and outside of the workplace. Because friends, here is the real data. In Minnesota, as of today, 396 Minnesotans have lost their lives on our roads. On this very same day last year, there were 321. We finished the year last year at 394. We are ahead today of where we finished the year last year. Most likely we will see 400 by week's end, and we are creeping up to 450, 500 by year's end. These are numbers we have not seen since the year 2007. These are our employees, our friends, our colleagues, our neighbors, and our community members. And it's time today to do something about this. Today, to do something about this. To have the conversation with our employees, to have the conversation at the dinner table, to have the conversation at the water cooler, to have the conversation with our friends. Did you know in Minnesota, we have an issue on our roadways, and we have the opportunity ourselves to change that today by driving safe, by paying attention, by following the speed limit, driving for conditions, and by wearing our seatbelt. We have the ingredients to change these things within our power. And so we're going to talk about how today and how employers can engage in this and how we can take responsibility behind the wheel and continue to be safe drivers out there. So if somebody decides that they want to take our space in front of us, we can give them that space. We can mind our gap and let them take the space. So what does safety mean? What does safety mean? I've used that word a lot since we've started this presentation. The condition of being protected from or likely to cause danger or risk or injury. When we do something we don't want to be exposed to the potential risk or injury. You walk into your employer and we talk about safety all the time, from personal protection equipment to maybe a safety committee meeting, lockout, tagout, put some, we want to put down sand on the ice when we walk in to and from our building. We're constantly talking about safety. Safety also means on the road. And we're going to talk about that today because that's a big piece of the puzzle. If you can't get to and from somewhere safe, from A to B, and think of how am I going to get there safe, it doesn't matter when you get there if you're being safe, because we have to make the whole puzzle work together. The entire puzzle needs to work together. What does roadway safety mean? Here's some definitions, and I'm not going to read through these. I'm just going to breeze through them for you. But one is measuring indicators such as numbers and road crashes and road fatalities. That's one way to get to roadway safety. One, the WHO has said, it's also described as the measure of risk on the road and injury and traffic deaths. The one I really like is that last one. It's not really about numbers and crashes and fatalities, but it's about the feeling that I have when I go out on the road. Do I feel safe in the road system? Do I feel like I can go out there and be safe? And I would love to say for a show of hands right now, when you go out on the road, do you feel safe? Some will say, yes, I feel safe. And some will say, I don't. I'm a traffic safety professional right now. There are times when I don't feel safe. I mentioned to you all that I attended a press conference on Monday. It was about launching the campaign we're going to talk about later in this webinar. When I was on my way home from the press conference, I was feeling pretty good. We're sharing a message. We're going to talk to employers. We're talking with traffic safety partners, and we are going to get to get some messages out there to share with people. As I was on my way home on Highway 61, somebody decided to pass me on the shoulder, going probably about 80 miles an hour on the shoulder. Drove past me, told me I was number one, got in front of me, moved and told me to move over to the right lane because I was driving too slow, and then continued to weave in and out of traffic until they were up ahead of me and then had space to continue down the roadway. Unfortunately, this is something that we're seeing more of, whether it's distracted driving, aggressive driving, or something to that intent. So that is why we are talking today about us, the person behind the wheel, paying attention, having our eyes on the road, our hands on the wheel, minding our gap and allowing that space in front of us, and being ready for the road. So when something like that occurs, we can react to it safely. Speed. Here's the biggie. Here's the point of having the conversation. Speed continues to be the largest contributing factor in fatal crashes right now in Minnesota. It's out of control. Currently, a shocking 130 speed-related deaths. 130 of our fatality count are related to speed. It's a 33% increase from this time last year. 33% increase from this time, 113% from 2019. This is the conversation that needs to be had. This is the topic at the bubbler, at the family dinner with your employees. Did you know this is happening on our road? Here are some tips and tools that you can have as an employer, as an employee, that you need to be aware of. Quite frankly, when you're on social media or when you hear things, or I go onto my local Facebook page and we have a couple different neighborhood Facebook pages, and they talk about how in our town or in our city, they're having a fundraiser, local fundraiser. The police are having a local fundraiser today, and they're keying in on speeders. That's not necessarily it. They're out there to make the roads safer for all of our road users. So it's having this conversation. The reason they're out there is because speed is completely out of hand right now, and people are being killed and injured. And these people are our employees and our friends and our community members, and they're out there on the roads with all of us. And so by having the conversation and in educating and in letting your employees know this so they can have the conversation with others is so crucial, because then they're educated and they know what's going on out there. In our own backyard, 913. This is since September, so I don't have the current data through October yet. But since September, the State Patrol has issued 913 citations for 100 miles or over the speed limit. 100 miles or over, 913. This is of epidemic levels as well. Since 2019, that's in comparison to 400. So it has more than doubled. It has more than doubled. And again, when you are paying attention and doing all the right things, we're the good drivers out there. We just can set aside and let them do their business and move on, and let enforcement and educators do what they need to do to slow those speeds down. One comment that I would like to make to you when I did attend that press event, Booker Hodges, who is the Assistant Commissioner of the Department of Public Safety, made a comment that was pretty in your face, and he had to say speed murders, speed massacres, and speed manslaughters. And I truly do believe when you look at it that way, whether you are the driver, whether you are the passenger, whether you are the pedestrian, it does not matter. Those high speeds, the faster you go, the harder you crash, the more likely you are to be injured and or killed. There's no way around it. It is sure physics. And when you take yourself into a residential area, the difference of 5 miles an hour is the difference between life and death. If you are going 20 miles an hour in a residential area and hit a pedestrian, that pedestrian has the chance to potentially live. You raise it up to 25 or 30 miles an hour and you hit a pedestrian, that is the difference between life and death in a residential area. That is the difference between life and death. So really think about that when you're getting behind the wheel and making a difference when it comes to speed. Higher speeds have bigger problems. It's the greater potential for loss of your vehicle, increased stopping distance, less time for the driver to respond or avoid a crash. A really good example of that is, have you ever been in traffic and everyone puts their lights on and you see everyone stop, 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 and preparing to stop. And then all of a sudden you see somebody maybe take the shoulder. They had enough time to divert, but they did not have enough time to prepare and slow down. Less time for that driver response. And then that increased crash for severity, leading to severe injuries and death. Higher speeds equal bigger problems. I want to show you this next slide is going to show you what happens. And this is equal to distracted driving too. When you speed or when you are distracted and driving at higher speeds, it results in tunnel vision. So your peripheral vision and your depth perception becomes extremely small, and you don't have the ability to see that wide field of vision and what's going on in your peripheral vision. You can only see what's going on right in front of you, and it really limits on what's going on the outsides. So I'm going to show you this next slide to give you an idea of what's happening behind the wheel when you're going too fast and what you can truly see. And that's how quickly it happens. Now this is on a residential road. You're not seeing a pedestrian. You're not seeing those on a bicycle. If you had a crosswalk up here, would you see anyone coming up on that crosswalk? This is a great example of how quickly you lose sight of what's going on around you at higher speeds and or distraction. A great example. So if you're clipping down an expressway, 65, 70, 75 miles an hour, go back to my example. of on a local roadway or in closer to home, the difference between 20 and 30 and 35 miles an hour, look at how little you're seeing there. Pedestrians, bicyclists, all you're seeing of what's right in front of you. You have that speed tunnel vision. Now I'm going to show another example for you because here's another thing that's happening quite frequently within our state. This is another thing I would love for you to have a conversation and tell everybody you know. When you get to an intersection, at a green light, allow 2 to 3 seconds, and at a stoplight, stop sign intersection, 2 to 3 seconds to make sure that the vehicle coming from the other direction has every intention of stopping. Too frequently they are not. We do not have pink or orange lights in Minnesota. We have green, we have yellow, and we have red. Right now we have an issue with red light running. So if you are jumping a green light and the person from the other direction is running a red light, those are ingredients for disaster. This image will show you how quickly that can happen, and I'm going to play it twice because there is something in this video that shows you, if you're paying attention to your surroundings, how this could have been prevented. Jumps the green, runs the red. Now that affects many people in this situation. You have employers, nobody wants to go to work or wake up and say, today's the day I want to crash. Today's the day I want to be without my vehicle. Do you notice where that plow went? Can you imagine if a pedestrian would have been walking across that street and hit by that plow? But what I want to point out in this video is the black car that did not move. That car says one of two things. A pedestrian is trying to cross the road. A vehicle is coming with no intention of stopping. Pay attention to your surroundings. They speak volumes at intersections. So again, allow yourself a couple of seconds to make sure that cars have every intention of slowing. Every attention, and that's even at a stop sign. Unless you have them engaged and they're waving at you and you know they're going to stop, then that's time to proceed. And so make sure at your stop signs and share that with everyone. It's the potential. You really have the potential to save a life. Here is another one. Stops at the red. The vehicle behind never takes their foot off the gas. There's a distracted driving incident that occurs in a split second. Never takes their foot off the gas. Again, another issue that ends tragically on our Minnesota roads. So the facts are this. The cost of crashes to employers is about $72 billion with a B. $72 billion for on-the-job and off-the-job crashes. Lost productivity, absenteeism, insurance costs, workers' compensation, property damage, and that list goes on. But it's not truly, is it really about the financial? Can you put a price tag on an employee's life when it comes to their job and what they do, and what the effect of losing an employee due to a crash and or an on-the-job fatality does to the culture of your workplace? The domino effect is just uncanny. And so here are the numbers, and I really want you to take a minute to look at this. 40% of lost work hours are due to traffic-related injuries. 40%. That doesn't necessarily mean you and or your employee. That might mean my son or daughter crashes today and is severely injured. I am not going to be at work if they are in the ICU or in the hospital till I know they're okay. I'm just not. An on-the-job crash costs employers up to $24,000. You throw in an injury, about $125,000. A fatality, unfortunately, upwards of $1 million. But what I want you to think about is what about that person who is injured? Maybe not a fatal, but they have a severe brain trauma for the rest of their life. And they're going to need help because they plan on living for the next 40 years. Who's going to pay for that? Who's going to take care of them? And how much is that going to cost? Their lives have been uprooted for the rest of their life. They can't do what they did today, effective right now, for the rest of their life. Those are the things sometimes as an employer and as community members and friends and family, we just don't think about. Why have a traffic safety program and why make this an issue and why make this a priority? To save lives. Quite frankly, to save lives. To minimize risk and life-altering injury and to protect your most valuable asset, your employee. You want them to go home every day. You want them to come back every day, and you want that process to repeat. That is your goal. So what are the strategies? You have lots of strategies and goals and plans. You determine why, and the why is quite easy. We talked about that. Crashes are the leading cause of injury and death. That's goal number one. So we're going to talk about that goal number one. Determine what. Do I want a plan? Do I want a policy? Do I want to just implement a program? If you don't have a traffic safety plan or policy already in place, maybe you just want to start a traffic safety program with initiatives and ongoing traffic safety programs similar to the one that we are launching this week, with messages and with great turnkey items that can be utilized 24/7, 365. So how do I do this? Make it as easy as possible. Maybe you want to implement education, driver's training, corporate education and training. Participate in traffic safety campaigns, the state of Minnesota, the Minnesota Safety Council, the Network of Employers for Traffic Safety. There's all sorts of partners that you can partner up with. Make it as simple as possible and turnkey. The resources are readily available for you. Partner, partner, partner. Local businesses, local, state, county and police, the Minnesota Department of Transportation, the Department of Public Safety, libraries, schools, Chamber of Commerce's. Don't try to recreate the wheel. I cannot stress that enough. Reach out to the Minnesota Safety Council and we can help you implement a traffic safety program if a policy is what you're looking to provide, or we can help you with turnkey resources. They are out there. We have great champions throughout the whole state to set you up with and to help you get started with either a campaign and or a policy. Have the conversation. Don't spring it on your employees as a surprise. Be very transparent, have meetings, discuss it. If you have unions, involve them in it. If you have that one person who's out there who's just really that parade arena, invite them in to be part of the committee that's going to launch your new traffic safety campaign. They are going to be the most insightful. Top management needs to be part of it and support. They need to walk the walk and talk the talk, because if you're going to implement a traffic safety campaign, they can't walk out and get in their car and get on their phone or drive away. They need to be part of it. So what is your role? Employees, employers. It's quite simple. Safety is all of our responsibility. So as I mentioned before, we're the good ones out there. We're great drivers. This isn't about, how are we going to change behaviors and model. We're going to continue to drive speed limits and for conditions. Drive sober, buckle up, pay attention. We're going to continue to share those messages. We're going to continue to have the conversation. We're going to share the conversation and tips and responsibility with everyone we know. We're going to share all sorts of information. I'm going to show you the information. I talked about the do's and the don'ts. I think that the hardest thing is to be overwhelmed and think, how am I possibly going to start a campaign from ground zero? Don't. Think outside the box, but don't recreate the wheel. Tap into those resources that are available. The ask is really big. Don't ask yourself why you shouldn't. Tell yourself there isn't a reason why. Every single employee is absolutely worth this right now. We have issues out on our roadways in Minnesota. Our friends, our family, and our employees are at risk, and we need to change it today. We really, really do. And so that's where this campaign comes into place. If you go to the Minnesota Safety Council's website and click on the Network of Employers for Traffic Safety. You will come up with a landing page that looks like this. If you click on the speed category, if you click on that speed category, you're going to get to a page that says speed count slow down. And on that page, you are going to have turnkey resources that are already readily available for you. There are email templates, newsletter articles that you can send. Put your name in, your company name in, your leaders' names in. There's employee fact sheets that have already been created for you, posters, social media blast, images, logos, animated traffic safety videos that you can send out. There are a number of resources that are here. Please take Plagiarism 101 out. Use these resources, put your logo on them, put your organization's name, have the conversation, have these open communications. As I mentioned, speed counts. Whether you're the passenger, whether you're the pedestrian, whether you're the bicyclist, it doesn't matter where we're at. We are striving in Minnesota with traffic safety partners, with employers, with everyone to make our roadways safer for everybody to use. And together, I truly do believe we can make this happen. Here is an idea and an example of the animated safety campaign series that is out there. And so feel free to share these videos as well with your employees. Have a Traffic Safety Friday or a Video Friday or an email blast. It can be a beautiful sunshiny day. Let your employees know you're thinking about them. Have a great weekend, drive safe. The message can be that simple, but they know you're thinking of traffic safety and they know you're thinking about them. I don't do many presentations without sharing this last video, so I am going to go ahead and share this last video with you real quickly. Okay, I just heard that that video has no sound with it, so let us see what we can do. I don't know. Yeah, there we go. That might be better. Okay, I'm going to rely on friends now. See, friends, give me a thumbs up.
So I just confess that I text and drive? If I get a text, I'll look at my phone.
It's definitely texting.
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Snapchat. I do Snapchat and drive sometimes.
Is that like making Snapchats or watching them?
Making them.
Texting is like my main form of communication.
Boredom, honestly.
And B, well, nah, I guess no, it's really just A.
I've only never done it at stoplights. I've always been really good about it.
The passenger has a pretty important role driving now, where they're like, oh, red light, red light.
If someone that you like texts you, you're like, you can't just like let it sit there without just knowing what they said.
Because what if something exciting's happening or something happened?
Like, every time I do it, I think about it, I'm like, why am I doing this? And then I just keep doing it.
So I'd like to, want to introduce you to a friend of ours.
My name is JC.
Hi, Alexis.
Hi, Dash.
Justin, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I just really quickly want to have a chat, tell you what happened to me. When I was 21 years old, driving home from my college graduation ceremony, driver on his phone was so distracted. He turned left into the intersection at a red light. Another car, an 18-wheeler, swerved to miss him and hit my family's car. And the resulting collision actually killed both of my parents. I spent 2 months in the hospital fighting for my own life, and then 2 more months in a rehab hospital, learning how to walk again, learning how to speak again, learning how to dress myself and how to feed myself. I live with a partially paralyzed body. I didn't have my daddy to walk me down the aisle when I got married.
Having sort of met JC, because you look at JC and sort of give those same reasons.
Oh. Usually I use my phone to change a song on. I try to use it as little as possible, but
I'm not gonna look at my phone ever again.
Honestly, if I have been sitting at a red light, I'll glance down to see if my mom's texting me, but the people's lives that are impacted from something that is so stupid.
I can assure you on my drive home right now, I'm not going to use my phone and drive, and I'm not going to do it when I go to work tomorrow and the next day after that until, it becomes a habit, and that just doesn't happen at all.
I know this is hard. I'm sorry. It's hard for me too, but this is real. You have the power to really actually make a difference and do something about it.
Thank you.
I truly believe we all have the power to make change and to make this happen. And it starts with us. It starts with employers. It starts with sharing the message and having the conversation. It starts with continuing to be safe drivers on the road, with allowing that gap space in between us, slowing down, paying attention, driving sober, buckling up, all of those things. I truly believe we have it in us to make a change on our roadways and to start driving those numbers into the right direction. I don't like to end on a sour note. I really don't. So let's do this. Let's think about the 5 most important people we have in our lives. We all have many. I want you to think of 5. You've got it. You've got hundreds. I know you have hundreds of important people in your lives. Think of 5. Got them? Did any of you put you on that list? Because I'll guarantee you, yours is equally as important to those 5 people as they are to you. And they want for you to drive and come home and repeat that process. So let's end on a great note. Let your next trip be a safe one from A to B. Let's go there, let's get back safely, and let's continue to share this message. Thank you so much for thank you so much for being with me today, and drive safe. Have a great day.